Hi, I'm Seven Strider and welcome to my Batman Eternal number 7 review. Is it number? Yeah, it's definitely number 7. So for those of you who don't know, my review follows a simple pattern, which is I review the issue first and then I discuss spoilers at the end of the video. I will give you notifications so you can click off if you want. So my reviews are kind of like a mullet. It's business up front and party at the back. So if you don't want to know spoilers, I'll let you know when to click away. So this issue I enjoyed so very, very much. It is quite possibly the one of the stronger issues in the entire series. The art is by Emmanuel Simeone, whose art I've never seen before, so it was a pleasant surprise because this guy is fantastic. There's also a great use of colour throughout the entire issue, which lends itself very well to Batman. Bizarrely enough, the tone is still very dark, don't get me wrong, this is a Batman book, but I found that the colour did lend itself very well to the action scenes in this comic. For those of you who've been hankering for a bit of action in the Batman Eternal series, because it has been more about progressing story so far, action fans can rest assured that you will not go away from this issue disappointed, because there's finally some action and there's even more story development. For those of you who are wondering who the Bat Family member featuring this week is, because it does seem to be featuring a different Bat Family member every week, this week it is Catwoman, and I loved it. So it's not exactly a spoiler to say that. I'm sure by now you've got used to the fact that there's going to be a new Bat Family member in each and every episode. So yeah, this week is Catwoman, and instead of seeing the two stories just like chronologically introduced, it's kind of, it still follows chronologically, but instead of Batman and Catwoman being side by side or interacting and then just following Catwoman, it's actually like telling two stories and it cuts between them. When I will be discussing spoilers later, I will be covering one story arc and then the other, because to do both at the same time would be very difficult for me. So yeah, the story in this is fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it, and I actually had to take 2 pages of notes instead of just the standard one like I normally do for my reviews. This is also an issue for your obscure villains, because there's not one this week, there's actually 2, but I'm not going to spoil who those are for you. So yeah, as I was just to recap over everything about the issue, spoiler free. Artwork's fantastic, great use of colour, even though the tone is still dark and very Batman, and I just loved the artwork by this guy and I can't wait to see. I'll just actually show you a quick sample of something that's not very spoilery. Okay, so this is the first page. So as you can see, just like the colour usage, Batman doesn't always have to be so very, very dark, and I really enjoyed the use of colour throughout the issue. It just it brightened things up a bit. So the story as well, it packs one hell of a lot into one issue. It's quite astounding actually what they managed to accomplish. One plot point did get resolved, but then quickly undone, but of course I'm not going to spoil that for you. I was actually hoping that a plot point would be resolved and remain resolved, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. So that was the only disappointing part of it, and yet again the cliffhanger isn't all that brilliant, but even though when I finished reading this I was satisfied at the end of the issue and still wanted to know what comes next. Okay, so now I'm going to be discussing the story of Batman Eternal number 7, so if you don't wish to have story spoilers, you may wish to click away now. Okay, it should be gone by now. So as I've said, I've took a lot of notes and I will be looking at them quite a lot because like this issue's only just been released today. I had to take a lot of notes because there was a lot to cover, including one or two things that I had to look up on the obscure villain base, because I even though it referred to them by name, I was still just like, am I sure that's the right guy? Because with the New 52, things get reset. So first of all, I'm going to cover the Batman arc, which is the shorter of the two, if I'm perfectly honest, in this issue. And it begins with Batman obviously survived the bomb that was in the back of the truck, which Dr. Phosphorus ignited. So it does seem to have stopped. The Batmobile, it is on fire a little, but he manages to just say like fire extinguishers activate on the Batmobile, and the fire goes out. But Batman does take the time to pull the driver out of the truck and rescue him, saving his life. He then sedates him and places him in the Batmobile and orders the Batmobile to take him to hospital. He's heavily sedated, and Batman even states at one point that the amount of drugs you're on, you won't remember anything that happened here. As he sends the Batmobile away, he then comes out of the Batmobile in the Batpod. I know a lot of people will probably say it's the Batbike or whatever, but if we're perfectly honest, because this two-wheeled thing came out with the four-wheeled thing, it's the Batpod. It's kind of like housed in the centre section, but instead of it being like off to the side, the two wheels, bit like it was in The Dark Knight, and I didn't really like that. I kind of saw this coming, but I didn't think it would be used this way last issue. I do like the movies being one thing and the comics being another, so that was one thing I didn't like about this issue. Of course, the truck exploded, and one of the things that was nearby, which has caught flame, was Professor Pig's abattoir hideout. And Professor Pig, understandably, isn't happy. His research is being ruined with this old Dolatron serum, and he's really pissed. He opens up the back of a truck, and there's a fuck ton of Dolatrons in there, and they're only like drills, screwdrivers, knives, hammers, just basic tools that, just for a makeshift army. These guys are just like, they're not built for, well, I guess they're kind of being used in a way for combat, but it's not the way I'm used to them being portrayed in the comics. It's usually very different. I'm gonna check my notes. Oh, we then cut to Gotham North with Rhodes Motors. Now this I found very interesting, because with Rhodes Motors I was thinking I double checked it, and it's Bixby Rhodes, who is also known as the Roadrunner, weapons dealer in the DC universe, and he owns Rhodes Automobiles. I don't know if I mentioned that, but he's talking with Mr. Falcone, and like Bixby has these metallic like leg things that allowed him to just like glide around his office very quickly. I don't know how he was portrayed previously. I can't really remember, but I also think it was New Earth or something like that. He was on. I didn't really read that, but I was kind of familiar with him. So Mr. Rhodes and Falcone are discussing the. They do refer to them each other as Mr. Rhodes and Mr. Falcone, which I kind of liked during the issue. But they're discussing that the truck that was that had Blackfire in the back of, it was intercepted, and I found this very strange. Obviously it never reached its destination, and Professor Pig's abattoir may not have been the destination. I kind of suspect it was, but they refer to it as being intercepted. Now we know Blackfire was in the back of the truck, and he was like being told over an earpiece like wait for it now, in the last issue, and he detonated, he touched the canisters and detonated the bomb. Now the way I kind of see this is, was Blackfire under the orders of someone else? I was thinking maybe the Penguin but I'll come back to this later because it is like pure speculation. I don't really know yet what was going on there fully. Maybe I need to reread the issue. Maybe there was something I missed. But this could be speculation, but I'll come back to it later. So they're discussing that the bomb was intercepted. That's the words they use, intercepted, and it doesn't really matter because Professor Pig is taking care of Batman and distracting him. They then say an associate better be worth the money we're paying him, or words to those effect. The associate being Tiger Shark, who it shows down at the docks. He's obviously up to something. He has some armed men with him in like some mech suits. If you're familiar with Tiger Shark, you know this is his modus operandi. He's like aquatic themed. I think he's like a weapons smuggler or something, but it's nice to see another obscure villain in Batman Eternal, actually, because I'll see if I can find the page. I probably won't be able to find the page, but it kind of like wears a suit and like a red like half hood over the top half of his head. It was just nice to see him, and he's obviously up to something down at the docks. Batman's busy fighting the Dollartrons, and at this point a bomb goes off which was deposited by Tiger Shark's men, but I'm not going to tell you where that was yet. Oh, Tiger Shark, while he was down at the docks, it also showed him, as well as with his men, it also showed with him an attack whale. This is why I read comics, just attack whale. So a bomb goes off while Batman is battling Professor Pig's Dollartrons, while a bomb goes off. That was deposited by Tiger Shark's men. Got to check my notes here. So Batman, as he's finally held back by the Dollartrons, he talks to Pig and he says, like, you've been played. Falcone's deceived you. You're working for him. He's the one responsible for the bomb going off and destroying your base. One of Professor Pig's things is with his insanity. He wants to make things beautiful with his Dollartrons, but Batman's saying like, look, he's destroying your work. You're not working for yourself anymore. You're working for Falcone. Batman actually seems to manage to get through Pig's insanity a little bit, but then because Pig's actually come close enough, Batman just headbutts him, and Batman then restrains him, after fighting free, and ties him up for the police. Now this would be a good thing, but the police that turned up were acting commissioner, is it Forbes? Yeah, Forbes. Acting Commissioner Forbes turns up, and he's just like, well, Professor Pig has been handed to us by Batman, and the GCPD don't work with capes, and releases him. It was at this point that I thought, why couldn't that story arc be released? Just got him in custody. Like, they say he escaped from the asylum and everything, and like he's been pretty much gift wrapped, but yet it doesn't matter. They just release him back onto the streets. Now, excuse me while I do turn the page over, because this is the part where I'm going to discuss the Catwoman story arc. So we're going back to the beginning of the comic in a way, because I'm trying to get the thing to stand up. Yeah, so we're going back to the comic because I said these two stories intercut with each other, but I will be discussing, so it's just, imagine that it was intercut. It's just easier to do them this way for me, where I discuss the Batman and the Catwoman story, and Catwoman's is a bit longer, so if your bum's feeling a bit numb at the moment from the length of this review, you might want to just like pause it, get yourself a drink, stretch your legs a bit and come back. But other than that, the Catwoman story arc begins with the iceberg lounge, and Penguin has found one of his men unconscious, who I believe he calls Fishnet because he has like crosses across his face, a bit like maybe a fishnet stocking or a fishnet. And Penguin wakes him up. He's been knocked out. He's just like, what the hell are you doing, like sleeping on the job? What the hell's going on? And Fishnet says that he met a lady out on the casino floor, a redhead, and he was escorting her into the back room for some sexy time, which, in Gotham is a damn good idea, and she rendered him unconscious. Penguin immediately suspects something and goes to his command room, where he finds a red wig, a jacket, and Catwoman bent over the chair to his computer with the butt up in the air. Just, if I was Penguin, I would have maybe took some photographs at this point, but Penguin pulls out his trick umbrella with the knife in the end and lunges for her. It's at this point that Catwoman's whip comes out of nowhere and stops him from attacking the woman, because the woman was a decoy who was tied to the chair by the name of Mrs. Lark. Obviously someone who works for Penguin with a name like Mrs. Lark, the whole ornithology thing. So Catwoman then says to Penguin that she's not interested in the war between Falcone. She's here for information, and she wants to know where the people of the Gotham Underground have been disappearing to. She's not allowing innocent people to be caught up in this war, and she feels that Penguin has been making them disappear. Penguin isn't for talking, however, and the two fight, with Penguin using one of his trick umbrellas and manages to knock Catwoman down. And it's at this point that an alarm comes out over the computer, and he says, Penguin cannot come on. Now this thing is awesome. He brings up the Penguin cam for Commander Wilhelm, who is a diving penguin with a camera strapped to his head, swimming around. It's crazy, but I love it. There's things like this in comics that I absolutely adore, just the crazy things. So Commander Wilhelm, Penguin deep sea diver extraordinaire, is swimming around with his camera, and he gets eaten by the attack wheel. Rest in peace, Commander Wilhelm. You'll not be forgotten for your awesome contribution to Batman Forever. Batman Eternal. Fuck Batman Forever. Same thing. So Penguin's obviously upset by the death of Commander Wilhelm, as we all were, and we'll never forget him, which gives Catwoman a chance to pounce on him. Once again, she says, I want to know about the people of the Gotham Underground. What are you doing with them? It's at this point that Penguin confesses and says, these are Dr. Phosphorus's people. I was making sure that they got safe in exchange for his services in the war that's happening. Now it's here at this point that I suspect that Dr. Phosphorus, bear with me because this is speculation. If you remember, I was saying Blackfire was receiving orders through an earpiece or a speaker in the last issue in the back of the truck, and ignited the bomb prematurely or early, as we found out this issue. Now I'm thinking Dr. Phosphorus can handle high temperatures, and Blackfire, when we first saw him, seemed to be intangible. He could walk through walls, but of course he was burning. Is it possible that Dr. Phosphorus is a vessel for Blackfire, because Dr. Phosphorus's body is the only one capable of withstanding that amount of burning energy? Because we did see him moving around beneath the sewers last issue, so he obviously can't pass through walls anymore the way he was able to do back in issue 2. So is that's what's going on? Dr. Phosphorus has Blackfire inside him, and Dr. Phosphorus / Blackfire are working for the Penguin, and Penguin was the one who ordered the bomb to be detonated early, kind of thinking that in some way he could get Professor Pig, despite him being insane, against Falcone without actually having to interact with him. That's just wild speculation. Maybe I missed something in the comic, but I kind of think I'm onto something there. So Penguin at this point is discussing that with Catwoman, that it was him that saved Gotham. He united the gangs instead of open warfare, just ruling the streets. All the gangs were unified under his trick umbrella. which stopped, people from being hurt, because back in the days of Falcone, innocents would take bullets that were meant for, gang enforcers, hitmen, that sort of thing. And innocent people would be caught in the crossfire. So he was saying, like, in his way, he has saved Gotham. It's at this point that the bombs I mentioned earlier during the Batman story arc detonate and begin to sink the Iceberg Lounge. Catwoman does the right thing and takes off and attempts to save as many lives as possible, helping them get out of the casino, including like the elderly and people who can't really get out there as quick as possible. Whereas Penguin attempts to save his money. While Catwoman has like made it to shore safely, Penguin's filling his his bags, and he's attempting to swim to shore while being chased by said killer attack shark. I fucking love comics. And he has to let go of the bag of money to make sure he reaches the docks in time so he can outswim the shark, but Catwoman fortunately plucks him out of the water. And yeah, checking my notes again here. So Catwoman pulls him out of the water, and it's at this point where a couple of hours have gone by, and Batman and Catwoman meet up for the first time at the docks on top of some shipping containers, where they share a moment to laugh at Penguin's misery as he stands at the end of docks, watching his money float to the surface, and essentially just cry a little bit. It's a heartwarming scene for the end of the book. Or what I thought was the end of the book, because then I turned the page and we're back at Rhodes Motors. And Bixby Rhodes is doing his thing, trying to sell a car to some schmo, saying, well, the Iceberg Casino's shut, so you may as well just splash out on a car. Let me show you the trunk space. And in the trunk there's a pig with a bomb strapped to it, blowing Rhodes Motors sky high, probably including Mr. Rhodes himself and the customer. It cuts across to Professor Pig, who's sat on a rooftop and has watched this happy event unfold. And he says, I can't believe I was played by Falcone, although in his own insane way, and now all of Gotham is my lab. And that's where the comic ends. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It does say, like, what's up next time? It's like a cold case heats up. So that could be anything really, so there's no real clue as to what's coming next time. But I'm really enjoying it. I don't know who's going to show up in the next issue, if it's anyone at all. I kind of would to see where Stephanie Brown is, because for the last few issues she's not really been in it. And I'm starting to get worried about the poor lass being on the streets of Gotham on her own. So that's been my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to get another review out today of another comic that I picked up. It's down there, but I may have to do a little bit of research, and that may be tomorrow. But for now, I've got this out on release day for a change. And as always, I've been Ensign Strider, and I should go.